Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Where's Wonderhussy? Today's July 8th. July 8th edition. You'll never guess where I am now. So, when I last spoke with you, I was in Northern California hiking on that awesome foggy trail above the Pacific Ocean, and that was amazing. I stayed at my mom's house a couple more days after that, went kayaking, went to visit my other grandma, so I saw both my grandmas, who I found out both my grandmas watch this channel. So if you're watching this video, hi grandma, hi grandma, mwah, mwah. Anyways, it was a very productive visit and I got to see a lot of family, so it was cool. But eventually, well, I had to leave because I needed to shoot some content for this channel. I was running out of videos. So I really had no idea where to go because, well, this whole virus situation just has me all out of sorts. You know what I mean? Like, normally I'd have plans to go meet this person here for that, and this person there for the other, and this festival, and, well, as we've discussed, Burning Man was canceled, so I don't have that to look forward to. I did have an explore trip planned with my friend Larry, but unfortunately Larry had car problems, so he had to cancel that. So I found myself in the position of, where should I go? And, well, being around other people just didn't seem like much fun. I mean, the last day that I was in the Bay Area, right before I left, I went to visit some friends down in Marin County. I know a bunch of really cool people down in Marin County, so I met up with a friend and we went visiting, okay? We went to 3 different people's houses, 3 different couples, and did some very responsible socially distant visiting. Let me tell you something. These people in Marin County take it very seriously, and they have to, because, gosh, at the time that I was there, which was Sunday, July 5th, they were like having this huge coronavirus spike because of San Quentin. San Quentin prison is in Marin County, which Marin County is all like upscale hippies, rich hippies, but then they got this prison, dirty little secret, and it's infested with the coronavirus. So everybody in Marin County was, masked up, and the people that we visited, we wore masks and or sat outdoors 6 feet apart. It was very socially distancing responsible. But it was kind of a bummer, man. Like, even when I was hiking with my sister, like the video I shot, I wasn't wearing my mask. And on that trail, we really didn't run into too many other people. And that was up north in Sonoma County. Well, 2 days prior to that, I hiked with that same sister down in Marin County. We did this amazing hike all along the coast out to this point with a lighthouse on it that you could see the Golden Gate Bridge. But, well, unfortunately, the lighthouse was closed because of the coronavirus. Shocker. And it wasn't windy enough to hear that sound that the Golden Gate Bridge supposedly makes. I don't know if you saw in the news. They did some retrofitting to the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm not sure what for, but somehow these like strings or wires that they put up, when it's above a certain miles per hour wind, like I think 30 miles per hour, it makes this like creepy harmonica effect. It's supposed to sound kind of like whales, like, ooh, and supposedly you can hear it all throughout the Bay Area. So I was really hoping it would be windy enough to hear that, but it wasn't. But the hike was beautiful. The only downside to it was, gosh, it was pretty crowded because it was a beautiful sunny day. And we ran into a lot of people on the trail, and every single person was wearing a mask. If not already pulled up, then around their neck, and they pulled it up when we passed. Every single person. I think maybe one mountain biker out of, gosh, we must have passed 100 people, wasn't wearing one. And, well, I did. I had my mask with me, but guess what? I accidentally dropped it somewhere on the trail. And so I had like a flannel shirt with me, and so I just, pulled that up every single time I passed somebody. And yes, it was a bother, and yes, I felt kind of silly. And, well, speaking of masks and the whole virus issue, I'll be honest, especially after driving all the way to New York and back and seeing all these different parts of the country, I really started to feel like, it's a terrible virus and I don't want to get it, but, if I get it, I get it. I kind of started to get a little bit laissez-faire about it, or lackadaisical. And going to Marin County was like a real wake-up call. Like, not everybody's lackadaisical about it. But then it's interesting. I had an epiphany. While I was actually driving down to visit my friends in Marin, it occurred to me that there's actually a very practical reason why I should wear a mask and why I will continue to wear a mask when I'm in areas with a bunch of people. And that is financial ruin. Okay, listen, if I get coronavirus, God forbid, I'm relatively young and I'm pretty healthy and have a good immune system. So, more than likely it would just be a really unpleasant experience. I'd have a flu and, well, I would eventually get over it. And then hopefully I'd have antibodies and never get it again. But what if I am unlucky? Like, I was reading about that Broadway actor, Nick Cordero. I don't even really know who he is, but apparently he was in a bunch of Broadway musicals, and he got coronavirus about 3 months ago, and he struggled for 3 months. I was actually kind of following it on Instagram. His girlfriend or wife was posting updates, and God, I don't know if he had any kind of underlying health conditions or what, but for whatever reason, it hit him really hard. He was in the hospital for 3 months. He had to have a leg amputated. And then he just ended up dying of it the other day, okay? And he was only 41, I think. But I'm not even saying that I'm wearing a mask because I'm afraid I'm going to die. No, I'm afraid that I'll get sick enough to have to end up in the ICU on a ventilator. And let me tell you something. This is America, okay? If you're watching this in another country, we don't have universal health care. I do have health insurance. I pay for the best health insurance I can afford, which is about $300 a month for me, a woman of my age. I don't know. I guess that's a fair price, but golly, they're just so cheap. You know how these insurance companies are. They won't cover anything. And so I have no doubt that if I was to get coronavirus and end up in a hospital, I would probably be bankrupted. And I'm not kidding. Everything, I work hard. You see, I put videos up every Wednesday. I've always been a hard worker, did all these weird gigs, trying to make a buck. If you watch my life story, everything I've worked for my whole life could be completely wiped out by hospital bills. Okay, that's a reality of the system that we live in here. That's just the way it is, love it or hate it. So all these people that are saying like, well, if I get it, I get it. You guys must have bulletproof insurance, or you must be independently wealthy, because or you're so broke that you qualify for Medicaid, which I'm not broke enough. So I'm at that unsweet spot in the middle between having plenty of money for a good insurance plan and having zero money and being covered by the state. So lucky me, I'm stuck in the middle again. Anyway, when I thought about it in those terms, like all my money could be taken from me, that made me a little more willing to wear a mask, you might say. And incidentally, I know the federal government did pass some kind of bill that if you are hospitalized with coronavirus or coronavirus-related illness, I think they can bill your insurance, but they can't come after you for the rest. Like, there supposedly was some federal law passed. My doctor friend told me that. But guess what? I don't believe it for a hot second. That same doctor friend, okay, he's a doctor. It's the friend that I just went and helped in Chico that had his knee replaced. Guess what happened to him? He is a doctor. He's been in the medical field for many years. He knows exactly how it works. He knows how insurance works. Well, guess what? He had an insurance plan for 14 years. Never really had to do anything. Never had anything. Went to the doctor. He's a very healthy person. The very first claim that he filed for this knee replacement, his insurance dropped him. I know that sounds crazy and like I'm not telling the whole story and, I'm just ranting and I'm some kind of crazy communist. No, it's the truth, dude. He's a doctor. He knows how it works. His insurance dropped him because they didn't want to friggin' pay his claims. Long story short, he worked it out. He's figuring it out. I'm sure he'll find a new insurance plan, but golly, I sure would hate for something like that to happen to me. And I have no doubt in my mind that these shady ass insurance companies would find some way to get out of paying any coronavirus related bills that I have. Not to rant about this, but I just know what would happen. I'd end up in the hospital from coronavirus and they'd go, oh, well, this was a side effect. We only covered direct effects from, they'd think of something. So the long and the short of it is, after all that ranting and raving, I decided to wear a mask when I'm around people, but since I find wearing a mask so unpleasant, as you probably already know from all the abandoned buildings and mines that I go in and don't wear a mask, I decided it might just be better if I just avoided people altogether and stayed out in the middle of nowhere, because then I don't have to worry about it. And to that end, I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. I'm losing daylight, but I'll give you a quick look at where I'm camped. It's friggin' awesome. Okay, unfortunately there's a lot of trees blocking my way, but you could see in the distance there a little glimmer of water. That's the Bridgeport Reservoir. And then those mountains in the background are, well, I guess that's like the Sierra, the Eastern Sierra. Just an absolutely gorgeous place to camp. I got my little campsite set up here, about to eat dinner. And the best thing about this campsite is there's 4G cell signal, so I can actually do some work while I'm here. But gosh, when I left the Bay Area, I really, like I said, I didn't know where to go. So I was coming from Marin County, and I thought, well, I need to head back home eventually to Vegas because I need to resupply on some stuff. And, well, I've got a lot of mail piled up waiting for me and, you know, stuff to do at my house. So I definitely need to go home for a few days. But I thought, oh, I'll just kind of poke my way along. And, you know, I love the friggin' Eastern Sierra. It's just beautiful country. I mean, look at this. Ah, it's just amazing. So I decided, this is a really interesting route that I took. Since I was coming from Marin County, which is on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge, I decided, well, I crossed the Richmond Bridge and took Highway 4, California State Highway 4, which starts kind of near Berkeley-ish, basically sea level by the water. And I followed Highway 4 all the way across, up and over the Sierra. I didn't know this highway went that far, and it was an amazing drive because first, you know, you're in the urban area, the Bay Area. It actually kind of starts in an unsavory part of town, like Richmond-ish. So, you know, you drive through Richmond, and then eventually you leave the Bay Area congestion, and you come out into, like, the Delta, the Sacramento River Delta, like kind of marshland, and then you pass into, like, more like farmland. It becomes very rural, and then you keep on following it. You go through Stockton, which, wow, I don't mean to disparage Stockton. It's probably a really cool city. I haven't spent any time there, but I've just heard a lot of bad stuff about it, crime, and it's bankrupt or whatever. But once you pass through Stockton, then you enter the beautiful Sierra foothills. And man, you go through all this beautiful wine country and then the old-time gold country. Anyway, then I followed Highway 4 all the way up into the Sierras, and I went over Ebbets Pass, which I think is one of the, if not the least used passes over the Sierra Nevada mountains, because it's really windy at the top and really narrow. It's basically like, well, it's not really one lane, but there's no like dividing line for a lot of it. And there's a lot of hairpin turns and a really steep grade, especially coming down the east side. But I'm not towing anything. Why not? My rig is more than capable of it. So, man, I took that sucker all the way up and over, and it was an amazing drive. And I stopped along the way to camp in the forest up near the top at the pass, and that was cool. Then I came down, well, down the eastern side. That's the town of, well, you can't see it, but, well, obviously if that's the Bridgeport Reservoir, then the town of Bridgeport is right there. And, you know, normally if this wasn't virus times, there's a really awesome hot spring up in the mountains there. That's one of my favorites. I'd be up there, you know, soaking with my friends. I think somebody I know is probably camped there right now. But, you know, I guess I'm kind of weird about this virus thing, A, and B, there's no cell signal up there, and I do need to do some work, so here I am, up on top of the old Bridgeport Reservoir. And you know what? This is not a bad place to camp. And now I find myself in the position of trying to figure out where I should go next. I mean, I've been here in Bridgeport area-ish, or Eastern Sierra area, for like 2-3 days. And yes, I could probably stay here another week at least, because there's so much awesome stuff here and it's beautiful. But I really do need to get down towards Vegas. So I was trying to decide, should I just go home, spend a few days at home? Like, it'll probably take me 4 days to get everything done and then head back out. Or, well, then I looked at the weather report, and unfortunately there's some kind of crazy heat wave going on down there right now. It's supposed to be 120 degrees in Death Valley. I can only imagine how hot it is in Tacoma right now. Whew. So Vegas doesn't get as hot as Death Valley. I think it's only supposed to be 112 or 113. But that just doesn't sound very pleasant, you know? So I'm in the position now of, should I stay or should I go? You know, part of me just wants to keep rolling solo. There's a lot of very desolate territory out here in Nevada. And I could drive around and camp to my heart's delight and make videos and probably never encounter another single solitary soul except at the gas pump, and then I can wear a mask. But, gosh, part of me feels like, heat or no heat, I should just go back to Vegas. You know, I have air conditioning at my house, and all the stuff I have to do is all indoors anyways for the most part, so I guess maybe I'll sleep on it tonight and then decide in the morning. You hear how peaceful it is here? Awesome. I have a feeling I'm going to get a really good night's sleep. Anyways, I guess I'll just get a good night's sleep and decide in the morning. Well, you never know where I'll be next week.